Welcome to the Leadership Spark podcast, where we equip you to be the great leader your people deserve. This is Corey, and today I want to start a few-day focus on this idea of the imposter syndrome. Now, when I say imposter syndrome, maybe you think or feel certain things about it. But recently I was listening to a Harvard Business Review professor, or really Harvard professor, Arthur C. Brooks, who is a genius, in my opinion, phenomenal when it comes to productivity. He has worked with some of the most elite people in the world in coaching them. And so he has written a lot of books and a lot of material around this topic. And I was listening to him speak, and he was talking about the imposter syndrome. And he said something that really made me pause and think that I wanted to share with you as we spend the 2 or 3 days talking about this idea of the imposter syndrome. And he talked about, with the imposter syndrome, do you lean in or do you give in? And it's a choice that we make. Do we lean in or give in? Give in would be, I just choose to believe that the thoughts in my head that are telling me that I'm an imposter, that's who I really am. Or you could choose, and I could choose to lean in, which means the imposter syndrome may be indicating the areas of our life where we have the largest opportunities to grow. And so I wanted to talk about that because I really believe that the most important story that I tell is the story that I tell myself. And I believe that you as a leader, the most important story that you tell is the story that you tell yourself. And so if the narrative going on in your mind is always about how you are an imposter, and you're choosing to embrace that thought and you're choosing to believe it, then your actions will follow, and it will greatly diminish not only the way that you think about yourself, but it will greatly diminish the impact that you can have on others as a leader. And several months ago, I came across a quote from Craig Rochelle that really sums up the need to lean into this as a leader. And he said this, he said, your life is always moving in the direction of your strongest thoughts. And so I want you to pause for a second, and I want you to think about that. Your life, my life, is always moving in the direction of our strongest thoughts. And so the question becomes, what is the dominant narrative that you are embracing right now in your life? Because at the end of the day, that's going to drive the direction, which ultimately affects and impacts the outcomes that you have in your life and you have in your leadership. And so the imposter syndrome is a big part of that, because all of us struggle with it. I think about in the last week, the number of times that I've asked a question, or I've had a thought come into my mind with the role that I play at WildSpark, that I'm not qualified for this, or that at some point someone's going to figure out that maybe I don't quite know what I'm doing, or I don't really know how to solve that problem, or maybe there's someone more qualified to come in and do the job that I'm doing, or man, they made a mistake by putting me in this role leading at this level, or I'm not qualified for this, or someone else could do better. And so there's all these thoughts that go through my mind in the last week. In fact, probably in the last 72 hours, I've thought about a lot of those things, and that is the imposter syndrome. And so the issue isn't, do you have those thoughts? The issue is, what do you do with those thoughts? Because your life will move in the direction of your strongest thoughts. And if those are the thoughts that dominate your life, then you will be greatly diminished as a leader. And so the go and do is this. I want you to stop and think. We're going to spend the next couple of days after this unpacking what the imposter syndrome is, and what are 2 things that you can do to start to fight the battle against it, to really lean into it more than give into it, where you lean into it and you look at it and say, this may be the biggest opportunity for growth in my life. These areas that I'm feeling weak in. It's not a bad thing. We all have those. In fact, if you don't have the imposter syndrome from time to time, then maybe something's wrong with you as a leader. Maybe you're narcissistic, because most human beings, we feel and we think this way, and it's not a bad thing. It's an indicator of opportunity for growth. And so the go and do is stay with me here and lean in and fight the battle of the thoughts in your mind, and use the imposter syndrome thoughts that you have to turn it into opportunities for growth. Because here's what I know to be true about you as a leader. Somebody somewhere saw something in you that they believed in. Somebody somewhere saw something in you as a leader that they believed in. That's how you got to where you are. That is how you got into the role that you are in. And so I know a lot of times when it comes to this, we are much harder on ourselves than other people are. A lot of people see your strengths, and that's why you've been promoted to a leadership position, while a lot of times we only focus on the weak areas of our life. And so we're going to unpack the imposter syndrome over the next couple of days. Come back tomorrow and you'll learn more about what it is. And then another day after that, we'll talk about 2 ways that you can fight against it.